Hello everyone. I hope that life is sending you loads of cool stuff, loads of happiness. You join me today for, it's not a smoothie time anymore. I will be doing more of those, but today it is a brew, a cup of tea. And this cup of tea is some foraged nettles, and then some filtered water, and then some hot water, and then a little bit of cold water, just to bring it up to PDT, perfect drinking temperature. Right. So the topic for today is that I've done a lot of like activism on the street where I've met a lot of people, and they come up with similar points regularly. And I wanted to explore them today. And the 2 points are, why did I go vegan? And isn't vegan expensive? It's so expensive to be vegan, along those lines. And today what I might do is I might just meditate for 30 seconds as we're going, just so that I can relax a little bit more, and also so I can feel like I can focus exactly what I want to say. I have done a tutorial of how to meditate online, so if you're interested in that, go to my YouTube and type in meditation. Right, in fact, I'm going to start with a quick one now. So, for context, one of my oldest friends, they are a vegetarian from birth, which means that they have never really eaten meat. And they now do a job in, they do a labouring job, which is very physically intense. And the reason I say that is because they are proof that you don't need to eat meat to be kind of like big and strong and do stuff. That sort of breaks that myth. But yeah, so I had that friend, and I grew up knowing what veganism was. I knew, I met vegans, I knew vegetarians, and I knew about vivisection. So vivisection is where human beings will test on animals to see if it works on humans. So like making them smoke, dropping like toxic liquids into their eyes, cutting their skin, seeing how they react to things. So cruelty, basically. So I knew about cruelty, and I knew there were vegan options. I was eating vegan options at the time, and so what I'm trying to say is that I knew you could be vegan, and I knew you could live without eating animals. And I knew about all the cruelty that was associated with it, the sort of the experimental. There's like experiments where they put like diodes and metal on brains of monkeys and stuff like that. So it's all cruel. And you know the fact that animals are killed young, and we take away calves from their mums just to steal their milk. And so I knew all this, but for whatever reason, it was partly rebellion, and it was part laziness and apathy. So I distinctly remember just being like, oh, I don't care, can't be asked. So it was laziness. It wasn't just one thing, there was lots of things going on. And then one day, somebody sold me this book. It's called A Higher Taste, a gourmet guide to vegetarian cooking, and a karma-free diet. So we're going back to around 2008. 2008, so like 16, 17 years ago. And basically I bought that book. I was like, yeah, it wasn't as though I didn't like vegetarian and vegan food. I just was too lazy to do anything about it. But so bought the book, tried out some of the recipes. I don't know if I did the recipes properly, but that doesn't really matter. What's more important about the book, because you can get any recipe books and find a recipe that you like, but the book, like in the title, it talks about karma, and it talked about, there's a quote from Linda and Paul McCartney that says, if slaughterhouses had glass walls, everyone would be vegetarian. We feel better about ourselves and better about the animals, knowing we're not contributing to their pain. So there was this quote, there was like kind of like no-brainer points, like just like there's no argument against them. So like to grow like, let's say some chickpeas or some beans or any type of legumes for human consumption, you just kind of like water the plant and then the humans would eat it. But what we do is, to get meat, is that we grow those legumes, use all those resources, then feed those resources to animals, and then give them more water, use more land, and then the humans eat the animals. So it's like, it's an uneconomical use of resources. And then it was talking about things like BSE, which is like mad cow disease. So for those that don't know, people were getting sick from, it's like VCJD is the human form of BSE. So BSE is what a cow disease gets. And then it transmuted or transformed into VCJD. And then people died from eating the beef, which, like, when you scale it up, like I did a animation, and at the end it was like scales. On one side you have like eat meat, and on the other side you have like uneconomical use of resources, you have unhealthy for humans. And when you really start, so the book was like planted the seeds, but then on top of the BSE you've got salmonella, swine flu, campylobacter, heterocyclic amines, you've got heavy metals, you've got like mercury in fish. So fish bioaccumulate all the toxins in the water, and then we then consume the fish and then take on the toxins. There's like other fish-borne diseases like Listeria, and then the nutrient side of things. So a vegan diet is like naturally lower in saturated fat, contains no animal cholesterol, no steroids that the animals have been injected with, no hormones like estrogen that have come from animals, and all the other hormones, the noradrenaline, the cortisol. Like, it just makes a lot of sense not to put all those things into your body. Like, okay, maybe you can get away with like a little bit of mercury, but then you're taking on the estrogen, you're taking on the noradrenaline, and then you're taking on the cortisol, then you're taking all the growth hormones, and then you're taking giving the potential for BSE, salmonella. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, the book planted the seed and then made me realize that it's a no-brainer. And then there's the karma side. So whether you believe in karma or not, I don't believe, I know that suffering exists. I know that if I when I was younger, I would accidentally step on a dog's foot or a cat or any animal, and then you could hear them yelp, and then in some cases I could see that they were in pain. So we had a dog that had jumped out the window, but then had caught its leg and sort of damaged its leg and was like screaming like nothing I've ever heard before. And it's not really a discussion. We know that animals feel pain. We can see that animals suffer. They have, they're very similar biologically to us. They have nerve endings, they have tear ducts, they have emotions. That's not a debate, it's a fact. And so the book was like a little bit of a kick up the bum for me, kind of like, wait a minute, what are you doing? Like, I was just living my life, kind of like, for me, it was like, yeah, well, I'm first, I'm number one, I don't really, I care about the animals, but I don't care enough. And then, so the book came along, but I didn't read the whole book. All those facts that I told you then came later after I'd read the whole book, but I was still like, I was addicted to meat, so I left in fish because I didn't know if I could just give up meat completely. I was definitely an addict to meat. And then, so I left in fish and I was still fishing, and then I can remember catching a fish, pulling out of the water, and it like gasping for air, and I was like hitting it over the head, and then I was like, this is weird, what am I doing? Like, excuse me, bit of a nettle burp. What am I doing? This is an individual, and I'm like hurting them for like, so I can go and relax next to the sea and get some free food. And so it just felt weird and didn't feel right. And so I started to realize that, like, actually, I don't want that. I don't want that on me. I don't want somebody to suffocate me and then hit me over the head and then eat me, while they could just go to the shop and eat something else. And so read the book, seeds were planted, made a little bit of a change, went vegetarian. And then along the way, I started looking deeper into the whole topic of eating animals. And then the film Earthlings, for whatever reason, I think I found it on YouTube. So there's Earthlings, and then there's also the film Dominion, which is very like along the same lines as Earthlings. And once you watch Earthlings, you can't unwatch it. Like, I can still remember a dog being chucked into a dumpster and the dumpster just squashing the dog, and all the other horrors that humans are doing to animals. And it's basically a no-brainer. Like, we just shouldn't, and we don't need to. We don't need to do this thing to animals. And there's so many other options. There's an abundance of different things that we can have instead. And yeah, like, there's no excuse for it now. There's no excuse for animal abuse. And I've literally written a book about all the excuses that people have. You can check that out, called Can I Milk That Dog? If you still have excuses, it's a free website as well, so you can help educate yourself about your excuses and realize that actually it's a combination of laziness, apathy, selfishness, and to take yourself out of the system, to take yourself out of the contributing to suffering, is the best thing you can do as a human being. I know it's not always easy for everyone, and I'm here. Contact me if you're struggling to take dead animals out of your diets. But yeah, that's kind of how I became vegan. It kind of finishes with me. So I started off pescatarian, which means leaving in fish. And then my friend pointed out that fish are animals too. And I was like a little bit blinded by my lust for eating fish. And then I was like, yeah, that is true. I hadn't made that connection before, that fish are animals too. I don't want to hurt animals, so I can't hurt fish. Took fish out, went vegetarian. And then gradually I realized that the dairy industry is the meat industry. And the practices, it's not like a nicer... When you're a vegetarian, you eat less animal products, generally, than a meat eater. But there's still cruelty. There's still cruelty in eggs, male chicks being killed after a couple of days. the broiler hens being left in barns and killed after a couple of years after they're not like laying enough now, or when their bodies are so depleted of nutrients that they just like so frail and nearly dying, they then get sold for meat sometimes. And actually it's not even about the conditions, it's actually, that's bad. The conditions are bad. Putting animals in gas chambers is bad. Suffocating animals is bad. But alongside that, just giving them rights, just giving them a right to life, just giving them a right to not steal their secretions, the eggs that come out of them, the milk that comes out of them. Like, just imagine if you know someone who's female and every time they have a period, someone comes along and just steals it. It's weird because it's a period, but also it's just weird because it's their possession. Or every time somebody is a pregnant mum, someone comes round and gets a little bottle and steals it from them. And all the other stuff like taking the children away, put into gas chambers, it's just a horror show, really. But the beauty of it all is that you don't have to be a part of that. If you can just buy plants instead. And that links to people saying to me, it's expensive to be vegan, but the cheapest products to buy, rice, bread, pasta, and fruits and vegetables, are the cheapest in the shops. People do get confused because some, like vegan chocolate or vegan burgers or sausages or certain like mock meats can be expensive. Yeah, like a vegan steak can be expensive, but you don't have to eat that. Like that's say it's a myth basically. If you make a pasta dish and use chickpeas instead of chickens, or you use lentils instead of lambs, or if you use beans instead of beef, you're sorted. Like I just eat cans of chickpeas for snacks. Like that's like I enjoy that. And then I'll get a can of beans and add it to a pasta, or I will make a dal, or I will make some black bean, smash some black beans up either in a processor or with a potato masher, a bit of coconut milk, a bit of salt, smoked paprika, smash it up, and then put it into a wrap, and then fill the wrap with like olives and peppers, and maybe fry up some courgettes and onions, and then add some salt and pepper to those as they're cooking up, and then add that to the wrap, or gherkins and anything basically. Maybe even like a nice line of hummus as well, some vegan mayonnaise. But cheapness, to clear up the topic of expensive, no, veganism isn't expensive. It can be, it absolutely can be, but if you buy beans and lentils and chickpeas and rice and pasta and like staples like that and bread, it can be cheaper than buying animal products. And then personally, I will still eat the mock meats and the vegan cheeses, like vegan spreadable cheeses, because I like the taste and I can afford it. I'm in a position where I can afford it. But yeah, it's a myth that veganism is expensive. It's kind of like saying eating meat is expensive. I don't know because I haven't compared, but I'm sure eating expensive meat is expensive and eating cheap meat is cheap. Similarly, eating cheap vegan products or eating expensive vegan products. But again, all the staples, cheapest things generally in the supermarket, rice and pasta, bread, they're not expensive. And it's interesting, like a lot of people pretty much eat vegan anyway. They just, like if you're eating cereals, probably vegan, and then just take out the cow's milk stolen cow's milk, put into another milk. If you're eating a wrap that has chicken in it, put some chickpeas in. If you're eating a beef like spaghetti, just put in some beans instead. Or you can get some like Linda McCartney or some mock meat meatballs, or just use lentils or beans. Like, it's very, like, it's so simple, right? So simple. Like, you're cooking the thing anyway, and then instead of dropping in the dead animals, you just drop in the chickpeas. Like, yeah, it's just, it kind of like clears up one of those other myths that it's really hard to cook vegan. It's like, well, no, you're already cooking. You just take out the dead bits. Like, take out the dead animals, take out the stolen secretions, add the fruits, the vegetables, the nuts, the seeds, and yeah, very easy to be nice to animals. I hope that was interesting. I hope that was useful, and yeah, everyone has a part to play in making the world a more compassionate place. Go vegan, then use your skills to promote a vegan lifestyle. I've been Berty Justice. That's the name. That's the name that was given to me. I'm just a human, I suppose. But yeah, this is a good tea. Yeah, so basically, I just forage these, get a glove, take off the smaller leaves, dried them out for about 2 weeks. Oh no, I rinsed them because just in case, well, I just wanted to rinse them to make them, because I wanted to, and then left them in the sun inside through like a window. Left them inside for like 2 weeks, and then put them into a airtight container, and then just drop them into the hot water. Free food. This is not expensive. It was free. Interestingly, I can see on my balcony, when I was picking the leaves, I picked some seeds, ate them as well, but I planted some of them. I'm now growing my own nettles. And yeah, free food, cheap food, vegan, local, but also nettles have you can put them in salads, you can put them in soups, but supposedly they have lots of health benefits, high in calcium. If you're ever interested in what's in the food you're eating. But if you've made it this far, awesome. I just want people to be nice to animals. I want people to treat others as though they want to be treated, and I want people to start taking bits of dead animals and their secretions out of their meals. And even if it's just like a couple of days a week, if you're gonna be vegan a couple of days a week, the animals will love it, and I will love it. Have a lovely day, and catch you again. Peace.